What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Faded Blue Line podcast. I am your host, Brandon Roberts, the co-author of Evading Honesty and creator of the Swipe and Swap system. We are still experimenting with a good time to do the show, so it is varying right now as far as days, times. I don't know exactly yet when I will be doing it, but it will be coming soon with a schedule. So as soon as I get that, I will let everybody know on the Triple I Solutions group and all the other groups that we're part of, Street Cop and Trap Font and all those other good groups out there and good dudes. So we are here today on a Monday evening. Like I said, we're trying different time frames here to figure out what works best, and I really don't know. We'll figure it out. So if you want to join the chat today, I put a link to the Discord in the share in the group. Make sure you jump in on the Discord. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the YouTube chat as well. And you guys could jump into the show and talk to me live by getting in on the Faded Blue Line voice chat, voice channel at the bottom of the Discord. Just get in the Discord channel. There's a text chat channel that's called the Faded Blue Line. Get in there and let me know you want to come on air, and I will drop you down into the group, and we will get to talking. So, hold on, I'm sharing the podcast link all over to the various things that we are a part of. I sent one over to Street Cop Training, their group, and hopefully they approve it while the show is going. It'll be a good help. Alright, so, like usual, I'm going to go over law enforcement news here at the beginning, and then we will get into the show and figure out what we're going to talk about. So, looking right now, 4 hours ago, it looks like the FBI released hate crime information, and they are saying that in 2019, hate crimes rose to a higher level than they've seen in decades, or at least a decade. So let's see what it says as far as what were the issues here. It's showing that they had a huge influx in shootings that target Mexicans. However, it is saying that the reason for that is the 22 people who were killed in El Paso. So that would account for the rise in that particular demographic. All right, so sorry, I was taking a drink here. They're saying that they believe the increase is also a result of better reporting by police departments and law enforcement around the country. And they don't it says that law enforcement officials and advocacy groups do believe that hate crimes are on the rise. They've had a 7% increase in religious-based hate crimes, with most of those being targeting Jews and the Jewish people. And the hate crimes against African Americans have dropped. So it seems that the increase that they have had for 2019 was anti-Hispanic and anti-Jewish. That's where they're showing the most increase in hate crimes for the year 2019. So that's kind of interesting. I would be interested to see what the new numbers will be for 2020. We've had a lot going on as far as we've had COVID, which has had people locked down and aggravated quite a bit. We've had absolute political turmoil during this time frame, and I would be curious to see if they are actually going to count a lot of the Antifa and Black Lives Matter violence against the conservative people, if that will be counted in the 2020 numbers, because that was pretty considerable. So that'll be interesting. We'll see what happens for 2020. All right, so let's see. Apparently, DC had some considerable violence over the weekend at the Trump march that they had. I do not have a video pulled up right now, but it appears that a lot of the violence they had was targeting Trump supporters, and it was Antifa. And I've seen a couple videos that were pretty disturbing, the level of violence, and including towards children. So that's kind of that's no good. We need to put a stop to that. Oklahoma cop responds to house fire call to find his own home burning and rescues his family. So that's, I believe, in Seminole, Oklahoma. If anybody is listening from Seminole, do tell us that story. That's kind of interesting. To see that a cop responded to his own house, and it says his family was inside, and he sustained serious burns getting his family out. So Officer Anthony Louie of the Seminole Police Department, which is about 50 miles east of Oklahoma City, rescued his family after he got sent to a fire call, not even realizing it was his own home. So we wish him the best. Hopefully he gets taken care of. Looks like if you go to Facebook, the Seminole FOP Lodge 138 has set up a donation thing for Corporal Louie. So if anybody wants to give him a hand, if you're from Oklahoma and you want to help another fellow Oklahoman out, go to Seminole FOP Lodge 138 on Facebook and help a brother out. It looks like he had some issues there. He's not only lost his home, but he got injured, and that's no good. So, all right, let's see if there's any other new news that's worth talking about. Looks like mostly the same stuff regarding Minneapolis. Wanting no police, but then turning around and raising funds or approving funds to pay outside agencies to handle their crime problems now. And it looks like the Portland official we talked about in the last episode, or a couple episodes ago, who was the one who was voting to get rid of the Portland Police Department, called the Portland Police because she was kicked out of a Lyft or an Uber, and she is blaming it on white supremacy. So that is the news today. I don't really see anything else in there that catches my attention. So let's see, what do we want to talk about today? Here is a topic that was brought up to me recently, and it's a little bit of a topic of debate for officers. What patrol car do you prefer nowadays? Personally, I drive a Charger, and I love my Charger. It's fast. It handles really good. The one complaint I can give with a Charger is there's not a whole lot of room in them, especially if you have a passenger. In the passenger seat, they do not have any room at all. And their seat is sitting almost straight up, so it's kind of uncomfortable. And my back seat, I got a split cage, so half my back seat is a cage. And if you are a we'll just say large-bodied individual, it's going to be quite difficult to transport you. Even just tall people who are skinny, I have a hard time transporting them in my Charger. But when they're very large people, it's like opening a can of biscuits. When you try to get them out, they kind of just flood out of the car when you open the door. So that would be my one complaint with the Charger is it's a little tight. Um, Now I have not seen. Is the Charger coming out with a new body style? Does anybody know? They're kind of due for it by now, I would think. And I have not seen a new body style leak like we did the Tahoe that came out. They started leaking those photos what about 6, 9 months ago, and now the I've seen the civilian versions of the new Tahoe, which by the way is ugly as hell. But it is I have not seen a police version. Has anybody seen, or do you have a brand new police version of the new Tahoe? I personally think they're ugly as hell. Um, they look like they're tall. Uh, I'm hoping that the police version is lowered because I can't imagine the thing handles that good with how tall it is, and it's kind of funky looking from the back. I did not like the newest body style of Tahoe as it is. Um, the last body style, I was really not a fan of that at all. Um, and I turned them down several times. I actually preferred the older body style, the pre 2015 Tahoes, for the longest time, and I turned down twice getting a um, newer body style Tahoe, and now I definitely don't like the 2021. Um, we got somebody sharing in the Faded Blue Line chat in Discord says Tahoe Pursuit packages all the way, and sharing the details of it. Yeah, I've seen them, but I have not seen them in person yet. Usually, you see them come out pretty quick when the civilian version comes out. I have not seen a police version come out yet. At least in Texas, I've yet to seen one. If somebody has one, let me know. If you're in the chat and you have one, share a picture of it. I'd be curious. I'll throw it up there on the podcast. So I will say that was it about a little over a year ago, Dodge came out with that new Durango Pursuit package, and they hyped that thing up like crazy on Facebook. They were showing videos of it burning out and all kinds of stuff. And then come to find out that the police version of it was, if I'm correct, it was governed at like 102 miles an hour, and it's like, well, what's the purpose in having that damn thing if it's only gonna? I mean, let's face it, our police vehicles are not really that fast anymore. They used to be back in the day. I mean, when I started back in 2001, I had a 95. I think it was a 95 um, Caprice, like the old bubble Chevy Caprice, and it had that Corvette LT1 motor in it, or LS1, or whatever the heck it is, and that thing was fast as hell. It had positive traction rear end. It would move. Now it floated, and it literally felt like you're driving a boat down the road once you reached about 110 miles an hour. But it was quick. But nowadays, like Honda Civics beat most of the police vehicles out there. You get those Civics with the VTECs and stuff in them, just from the factory, and they're faster. So it's you know they keep making civilian cars faster and police vehicles slower. I mean, but let's be honest though. More police officers are killed in car crashes or being hit on the side of the road than being shot. So I guess it is a safety measure on our side. So in the chat, Ziedler is saying major production issues with GM and the police packages due to COVID. At least our equipment guy said that was the issue. We had to get multiple Tahoe special service vehicles that are governed at like 111 miles per hour. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, those are the civilianized like work vehicle styles, and they sit higher. Now, some of them come in four-wheel drive though, and that's I've seen those with like Border Patrol or places that have kind of rough roads, and they're decent vehicles. Um, but yeah, I guess I can see the GM is having issues with productions because of COVID. Um, it's kind of sad. But we'll see what the GM may have more production issues if the corporate tax rate goes through the roof in Michigan. So we might see a lot less production of stuff. So the 2021 uh, Charger Pursuit. Let's see, is it different? I was shared a link. It looks exactly the same. They are due for a new Charger. Now I know they've made them all-wheel drive, but the body style of the Charger has been out for 5-6 years now. It's due for a change. I think everybody would agree with that. Now I like the Charger. Don't get me wrong. I love that car. Um, and I get more compliments in my Dodge Charger than I do anything else that I've ever driven. Um, but I'll tell you what I miss the most is the good old Crown Vic. I mean, yeah, I know you young cops that might be listening right now are like, okay, boomer, but you just won't understand. Back in the day, that car you could beat the living hell out of the the Crown Victoria CVPI and the Interceptor, and just you could not kill the things. Now, you younger cops might be driving ones that are 10, 15 years old now, like spares in the fleet, and hate them because they're ragged out and beat to death. But I promise you, when we ran them 10 years ago, that was the car, man. Um, they weren't the fastest thing on the planet. They didn't handle the greatest, but god dang it, you could go drive through the woods. You could, take them off road. You could do anything in them, and they would not die. Like every once in a while, you'd have like a transmission problem, or like your AC would go out, but the dang cars would just last forever. So, but I've had various cars. The only thing I've not had, um, in modern style, I guess you'd say, is the any of the Fords. I have not had the Exploder or the Taurus Interceptor. Um, I will say that I've been inside of one of the Explorers. It was the twin turbo one. I think they're twin turbos. It was fast as hell, and it drove like it's on rails. But I don't know what Ford was thinking putting that tiny gas tank in that thing. Everybody I know who's had one, you got to fill the dang thing after like 120 miles. And that's just ridiculous. Like I could get 300 miles out of, or probably over 300 miles out of my Charger. But yeah, and you see these highway patrols and stuff that get these Ford Exploders, and why would you put a trooper in something that they got to fill up every 100 miles? Because they probably drive 200-300 miles a day on the interstates and whatnot, if not more. It just seems a little crazy. And the Taurus, the issue I have with the Taurus Interceptor, and maybe they've changed it since I've been in one, but the doors do not open all the way. It's like it opens halfway, and it just seemed kind of strange. Like if you're bailing out the car and you kind of jump out thinking the door's gonna open and you slam into it, just seems a little silly. So police can now buy an armored all-wheel drive Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat. Um, whose whose bright idea is it to put cops in a Hellcat? I mean, that you're just asking for us to wrap it around a telephone pole or something. I mean, geez, what is that thing, like 800 horsepower, 700 horsepower, something crazy? Sean Eddy is saying lack of fuel capacity is his biggest complaint. I'm assuming that's with the Ford. That seems to be the pretty consistent complaint I get out of everybody, is that the Ford just has the worst gas mileage on the planet. It's like I don't know why in the world they would do that. Put you in a car that isn't going to go more than 100 miles or so without having to get filled up. Just seems kind of silly. So, Guys, I see a lot of people participating in the chat here. I'm starting to get. It looks like B Griffin says sitting in a Taurus Interceptor right now. Doors still don't open all the way, and the B post is too far forward. It makes it tough to get out of. No doubt, man. I mean, I can't imagine bailing out of that thing quickly. I feel like I'd go to like push the door open to bail out, and the damn thing would hit that little the little lock that stops it from opening, and come and slam me like right in the crotch or something. It just seems a little crazy. Uh, A. Peterson, A. Peterson says, "I need one." I'm guessing you're talking about the Hellcat. I mean, we all definitely want the Hellcat. That's for dang sure. So, I'm getting a lot of people tuning in, so that's good. I'm getting more participation on the YouTube side, which is awesome, guys. But make sure, like I said, I'm not going to be broadcasting any more directly to Facebook. It's going to be YouTube only. So make sure you hit subscribe on the YouTube as you're watching this, and I believe it'll pop up like a little bell. And if you click that little bell, it will alert you on your device when I go live, which will help you until I figure out the schedule. So, does anybody want to get in the voice chat? If you want to get in the voice chat, let me know in either the Discord General Talk or the Faded Blue Line text chat, and I will drag you down into the Faded Blue Line voice channel so you could get on the show. It makes for a great show if you guys want to talk. I got somebody in the YouTube chat says, Roman Gonzalez typed something, but it says message retracted. So maybe he did not want to make that comment or typed it in the wrong thing. So, and if you guys don't mind, go ahead and share this link on your Facebook. Tag your buddies in it. Let's make it let's keep it going. I mean, the whole reason I made this podcast is because I recently, over the last month or two, I've been seeing so many people asking for a police podcast and asking, are there any of them out there? And there's not a whole lot. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'll make one. And here we are. So, and I will figure out the format of what we're gonna do. Eventually, I'm going to build a little studio setup here and do video, so we can bring guests in and whatnot, and we'll have a video version of the podcast, so it's not just just a screen that says Faded Blue Line. So let's see here. Okay, looks like we got somebody in the chat. You hear me there in Discord?
Yeah, man.
What's up, buddy? So let's go back to the topic we were talking about. What you say, Tahoe, right? That's what you pick. You say the Tahoe is the best patrol car out.
You gotta remember.
So why?
Well,
What is your reason for what is it you like about the Tahoe?
it's the face factor. Just being a little bit higher up there, give you that little bit of do it lower down a lot more as you're going up. You're looking at the vehicle passing. It's the get up and go. We have all the all-wheel drive versions, so we have wet roads, ice, a lot different. You can get away with that rear drive, but I like to drive that Charger.
Gotcha. We're having a little bit of a connection issue with you. I don't know if you're in a bad area or whatnot, but I got the gist of what you're saying. And you're up in Canada, correct?
Yeah, in Canada.
Yeah. So I could definitely see the need of the Tahoe up there, because I would assume that some of the roads, when they get snowy, the Charger might be a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
So Ryan Mercer says, went from a Charger to a Tahoe, loved them both. Charger was quick and handled well, unless roads were slick, and they can't go off-road very well. Tahoe has plenty of room for all my expletive. and actually handles pretty well for its size, just not as quick. Hated the Explorer SUV. You know, my issue with the Tahoe. I mean, I agree. I like how high it sits. I don't think it has the takeoff speed that I prefer, but I just thought they were so dang ugly when the 2015 model came out. I just couldn't stand all the dang chrome on the dang thing. And now I've been in a Charger so long on the interstate that I can't imagine going to something slower because I love how I could just get up and go on the interstate and get to what I need quickly. And our office is actually we've switched over to two F-150s recently, and they're awesome, but they're a little slow, and I kind of worry about switching to another one or to a F-150 from what I had. You know, when you're so used to catching up to somebody in a Charger, going to an F-150 that is limited at like 98 or 100 miles an hour would be rough.
Sean's trying to join the chat here, Brandon. He's going to
Alright.
join the journal. I'm not sure if I can drag him down.
Let me see what I can do here.
There he is.
All right, Sean Eddy is now joining us on the podcast, but his mic is muted, so turn that on.
Yo.
All right, what do you prefer? As
Well,
far
I
as
had to shut down the YouTube channel because I'm hearing everything twice.
yeah, when you get into the Discord, but you can hear we'll be talking here, and it'll be no different than watching the YouTube. So back to the topic we're talking about. What do you prefer as your police vehicle nowadays?
I go back and forth between two. I don't have an assigned one right now, or between the Explorer and the Tahoe. I like the maneuverability of the Explorer, and I like the acceleration, but I like being able to turn around a lot quicker. But I've been in three pursuits, and two of them in a Tahoe and one in the Explorer. And the one in the Explorer I got left behind, and that's even a turbocharged one. And
Really?
I absolutely hate the fuel capacity on it.
Yeah, that's terrible. I mean, it's how many miles do you get? Maybe 120?
Yeah, that's probably about right because on a 12-hour night shift, I stay pretty mobile, and I'll be down to about a quarter tank by the end of my shift. And in the Tahoe, I'm probably still at three-quarters of the tank, and I'm driving the same amount of distance.
Yeah. I think I could get about 300 out of my Charger. It also depends on how I'm driving. If we're on the interstate, going 0 to 110 to try to catch a car all night, it goes a little quicker. But did either one of you drive the old Crown Vic?
Oh, yeah. Yep. That was,
Unfortunately, no. I've never had an opportunity to. We still have one in our fleet, but it's a backup unit. I don't even think it has a computer in it, and they won't let me drive it. I've tried a few times.
Sean, you gotta keep watching the YouTube channel so you can get some views there. Just mute the audio so it doesn't echo in your head.
So, did you guys catch the discussion last episode where I was debating the good old Glock versus Sig?
No, I missed it.
Yeah.
So, I'm a Glock guy 100%. What are you guys carrying up there in Canada?
Depends on the agency. The majority of the municipal blocks, but we're trend over from the 22s to 9mm here. I'd say within the next few years, it'll all be 9mm blocks for the majority of agencies. Though there are a lot of agencies that do carry other weapons, for the majority of the out in West Canada, it's municipals. The Glock side of the 40 caliber. No.
Gotcha. I'm glad they're all going to 9mm now. Years ago, when the 40 was starting to take hold of all the law enforcement agencies out there, they said that the stopping power of the 40 was what they loved, but yeah, I think the FBI released a study, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago or so, where they found that officers that used 40s had a much harder time making follow-up shots and being accurate where 9mm they could. And with the new technologies of 9mm, the ballistics of them are pretty much identical to a 40, and I would much rather shoot a 9mm all day. So I'm kind of glad to see that everybody's switching over.
No, it's there's a huge difference. I personally consider it way better with the 940. Not that I poorly with 40, but it's a noticeable difference, especially when you have officers that have with shooting.
Oh yeah, I mean, the 40 is so dang snappy. I mean, it's a snappy round, and 9mm you don't have that snappy recoil, and it's a lot easier to teach people on than 40. And I just personally think it's 10 times more accurate and easier to shoot. And I mean, I've shot probably 50,000 rounds in the last probably 3 years of 9, and it's just such a nice round compared to a 40.
Oh yeah, big difference. Sean went up to general. Do you want to come back down, Sean? Just post in the chat there if you want to get dragged back down.
So, are you using the push to talk or using the voice recognition?
Yeah, the voice recognition, is it breaking up?
Yeah, it fades in and out. I don't know if maybe you got to hold it a little closer, but it should be okay. You came across that time just perfect. So whatever you just did,
Yeah.
keep doing it.
I changed it to be more pick up my voice more. Now I'm going push to talk. Anything to make you happy, Brendan. Anything.
So you've been working the swipe and swap up there, correct?
Yeah.
How
Now
much
it's
luck you
working.
having up there in that? What part? Where in what are you, Ontario area?
No, Saskatchewan.
Gotcha. How
Middle
much
of
do
the-
you guys have a
middle of the
lot of truck
prairies.
traffic up in that area?
Oh yeah, huge, because we're right in the middle. So we get we got a lot of inland ports. So there's some inland ports there. Oh yeah, there's Ryan up there. I'm gonna drag Ryan down here.
Gotcha. Yeah, we Ontario is a huge area for swipe and swap for people stealing trucks. I have not seen any out of Saskatchewan, but I can
No.
imagine if you have that many trucks, it's probably a pretty big problem.
Remember, we got a million people in the province, the size of half the United States. So there's a difference, but yet all the cross country travel between the coasts is where we get our bread and butter from, and that Ontario, Quebec is where we're seeing a lot of the swipes coming out of, because they're coming out from the north there, New York, New Jersey, and getting revinned and re-registered in Ontario there. And of course, nobody talks between the administrators for the license issuers, so it's pretty easy.
Gotcha. Well, you're definitely going to see them up there, and you see some different trailers than we do down here. Like you have the Monon trailers a lot up in that area, and Manac trailers. So get to know maybe if you see any of the dealers, if you have a dealer in your area, go get to know them and have them show you where the C-bins are in those particular trailers, because you'll see a lot of those trailers up there versus what we see down here.
Yeah, Ryan, where'd you go? We dragged you down to chat, and you didn't chat.
I see
See
him
again,
in the
we'll-
general voice chat. Oh, he just
Ryan,
came
how
down.
you doing? Oh, he's not talking.
He may be having some issues. Well, I'm glad I got some people participating in the voice chat now, because it makes the show go a lot easier. Now, you are the highway patrol up there, correct?
Yeah,
Now, are you like their CVE guy?
it's a dual combo here there. So I was a cop with the agency for quite a few years, and then came over here to run and start up their intel and interdiction program. It was new. They were primarily CV till they got their new appointment, and now it's pretty similar to your high patrol down there in most states there with full authorities and powers there comes to what we do and how we do it. So it's a big change there, but it's that dual role of CV and high patrol there, other than the call taking there. That'll still be the RCMP's baby there, which is nice. So all the fun and not much of the paper.
Gotcha. Now, have they legalized marijuana up there in Canada?
Oh yeah.
So, interdiction-wise, are you guys seeing? What are you guys seeing other than marijuana then?
Oh, everything. Everything. We have a huge fentanyl problem, a huge meth problem right now. Heroin is pretty much gone. It's all fentanyl, cocaine. Uh, the same as down there. You'd take a look at a little lesser volume depending on where it's coming and going from. But when you have the cross country travel from our west coast out to the east coast, you can get some pretty big loads. I think the biggest load in this province that was hit was 55 keys 3 months ago. So they do get big there, but we're usually looking at a key, half a key, depending. And then with cannabis though too, just because it's legalized, it's still not legal. So they're trying to tax it, and so there's a huge black market which is now operating pretty much without any type of checks and balance because police aren't using their resources to enforce cannabis laws anymore because it's an administrative process. So that's where the issue comes, but we'll hit some very large 100+ pound loads of cannabis, and that'll be a federal charge when you're over 30 grams over that ounce. So that's where you're getting into your gray area. It goes like, well, I can have as much weed as I want. No, you can't.
Okay, so they do have a limit to how much you can
Oh
actually
yeah,
have on you. Gotcha.
yeah, no,
And
it's not a free for all here. Come on, we're Canadian.
now, with that though, if you catch them with a large amount, are you charging them with like trafficking, or is it more like a tax charge?
No. So the difference would be if we believe it's for distribution. So it used to be possession for the purpose of trafficking, but now it's possession for the purpose of distribution of cannabis, which is the same charge and punishment as if you were trafficking coke. So that's where you're kind of, well, probably not as severe as coke, but that's where you're getting into those other aspects of it there. There's talk also about starting to do a little bit of the tax regimen. So I don't know if you have illicit tobacco down there. A lot of our First Nations in Ontario region there grow tobacco and will create tobacco brands that aren't taxes paid. They're black market tobacco, and the fines are quite significant up for the illicit tobacco up here, of starting at $1,400 if you have a pack of cigarettes that hasn't had tax paid on it. Whereas cannabis, it's like $360. So they're trying to bridge the gap between the two, so it's more similar. So there's that incentive not to purchase off the black market because you're going to get hit with those huge fines.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what, some of the ways that we're looking at trying to deal with that. But when it comes to cannabis in a vehicle and things of that nature, it's just like booze now, which is so weird from going from enforcing it for so long to now it's just like having a beer in the car. Not that cannabis is really heavily enforced even prior to legalization. We're all pretty much hippies up here to a degree.
Let me ask you this: in Canada, was odor probable cause to get in a car?
Well, it's up to interpretation. So odor of cannabis in the vehicle, since you're allowed to have up to 30 grams in a vehicle of non-illicit cannabis, not so much. But when we talk about more of odor, you're talking about are you looking at starting an impaired investigation? Is it consumption in a vehicle?
Gotcha. Yeah, I know things are a little different up there. You were saying the illicit tobacco thing. When I worked in Florida, I made a couple cases of people that were trafficking in illegal tobacco, but those are tax issues because they'll go up to these Indian reservations where they're untaxed, buy a whole bunch, and then bring them back down untaxed cigarettes because they're cheaper, and turn around and sell them to gas stations or sell them personally. And that's when I would see the illicit tobacco. I didn't even know they grew tobacco up there in Canada. I thought that was kind of a real specific regional thing.
Yeah, in Ontario there they do, but there's a lot of other places too that they're getting, and it's almost, you're looking at your profit margins. It's almost more profitable than cocaine with illicit tobacco than cocaine for your profit margins, and way less risk. However, if you do get busted, depending on the province, you could be facing fines. So the base fines in our province, what you consider a state, is $1,400 plus $1 for every cigarette over. So we had a file here. It was a $50,000 fine plus the Excise Act charges because there's no tax paid on it. So not only is there the criminal consequence, but there also was this provincial administrative fine of 50 grand. And some of the loads that they're pulling out of the province next door to us from commercial vehicles, semi-loads of this stuff, because there's just such a high profit margin for the org crime groups to work. And it's the same org crime groups that are running your guns, your coke, your fentanyl. It's just it's all about the money, right? And we know that in what we do.
Huh. That's interesting. I like talking to somebody from another country about their interdiction efforts. We had Sean and I had taught several years ago, I believe in Michigan at a DIAP conference, or I don't remember what MVCI conference, and there was a bunch of guys from Australia that had come to the conference, and it was so neat talking to them about interdiction over in Australia, and how it was similar but different. I mean, they worked the interstates just like we did. They saw compartments just like we did. It was just different organizations. Here, a lot of the organizations we run into are cartel based, or if it's a cannabis operation, they're often from the West Coast, California, Oregon, uh, Washington, Colorado, those places. And they're not usually cartel based. But what do you have up there? Is it cartels, or is it just organized crime syndicates that are from Canada?
Now, the meth is all coming back at around 98 to 99% purity, and they're cartel based with its origins without a doubt, but then it's going into the other high level organized crime groups, such as the West Coast gangs, the Hells Angels, and we have a Centuries African CEA group. Lots of those types of groups there that are interconnected to all the major urban centers there, with Ontario to BC. So with your meth, obviously, when you're looking at meth that's that high of quality, it's coming from Mexico. And our fentanyl is coming usually from China because we have a direct import with our coast from China, and then our cocaine as well coming up through the states. So you'll see that with some of the busts that our border guys will make, whereas used to be independent to one kind of product, like cocaine, you'll get 200, 300 keys, or meth, you'll get those large amounts. Now you're seeing these mixed loads there that are coming up, and the cartels are sending these both up through the borders and in high volume, and then they're getting wholesaled out to the other large crim or groups to distribute. But there's no doubt that there are plaza bosses in Canada and for different areas that run this, and we have things such as Mexican Mennonites and those direct connections to Mexico there. Nothing like you would see there, where you're never going to see a cartel guy driving a load across the country, but you are going to see those high volume loads that are crossing back and forth.
Oh, that's a shame, man. You need the good Mexican cartel guys with their pointy cowboy boots and their big belt buckles.
Yeah, no, it's getting to be a little bit more interesting with the loads. We're seeing a lot more traps, a lot more guns, but fentanyl right now is really taking off. We still have meth and coke and everything else. With COVID, though, due to the direct supply chains from China that we have, fentanyl just blew up. It was incredible, absolutely incredible how many overdoses we're seeing now daily in some of our urban centers compared to pre-COVID, and it's not going to go away anytime soon. To the point that we're talking about legalization, like Oregon did, which will be super interesting if that happens.
Oh man, that'd be crazy. That'll probably stress the system with overdoses if they do that. To be honest, um, uh, with the fentanyl, you obviously you said it was coming out of China, just like anywhere else. Are you guys getting it like in the port shipping containers, and that's how it's getting in, or are they coming in via like air parcel into Canada? How is it actually coming into Canada?
There's lots of different methods there. A lot of it's being sent in the mail, and as they're sending in the mail there, or packages being intercepted when you're doing 500 to 1,000 packages to whatever address is there. If it's certain uh, below certain ounces or measurements, they're not being checked. And if you have a few hundred intercepted, you still have another 200-300 there. It's the profit margin that makes it so incredibly beneficial there with it there. Sure, there's the container sizes of it, but it's high risk there. You're also losing a lot more product. So a lot of the parcel stuff there that is being done, and unlike down there, we don't have as strong of a parcel interdiction. Up to a few years ago, our CBSA border guys weren't allowed to open parcels that were under a certain weight threshold. So organized crime, we'll just make it all below this, right? So it's tough, especially with COVID, because we had supply chain issues. So everybody needed their toilet paper, and so
oh God, you guys had that rush over there too.
It was insane. It was insane. I was wiping my ass with oh, sorry, I can't say that. I was wiping my butt with Kleenex there for a while because we were out of it here in the city.
Oh my gosh, man! I don't know what people were thinking there. I mean, there was absolutely no reason to do that. Not only that, I mean, COVID doesn't even affect your GI tract like that. There wasn't like this mass influx of diarrhea. Why? I just never understood why toilet paper. And then you got people's like, I started to wonder if people were starting to smuggle toilet paper. I mean, it was crazy.
That was interesting, but no, that was a big part of it. Even less checks and balances, and so you guys got your $1,200. What was your check there back in your stimulus check? What was that worth?
It maxed out at 1,200. I think it depended on what you made. I know that they sent me some kind of credit card deal, and when I checked the balance on it, it was 800 and something. It wasn't the full 1,200, and then I didn't even use the damn thing because I didn't want it. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So up here in Canada, we had something called CRB, and it was sorry, my kids are running around here. It was almost $2,000 a month for the entirety of COVID. That if you were affected by COVID, you just had to sign up for it. And so, like, you guys have social security numbers, we have SINs, and all you need was your name, address, and your social security or SIN number to apply for it. The amount of fraud, especially within the vulnerable population groups, right, was incredible. It was incredible. And then that just blew up our drug scenes because everybody had money, everybody was locked down at home, and it was rampant. It was just absolutely rampant. So how much it just changed imagine. The whole. Oh, it was horrible. And now we're dealing with the fallout of multiple overdoses and overdose deaths a day. In the city I'm in is 200,000. It's a big impact. 84 in the last month. It's very sad there. Wow. That there's this chain effect, and as we know, drug traffickers and organized crime groups, they don't give a shit about the people. It's all about the money.
Oh yeah, and I'm betting. I mean, I'm not from Canada. I've never been to Canada, but I'm betting in the winter months you have a lot more ODs because people are locked up inside because of the snow. Am I correct on that?
I can't speak one way or the other to that. I think it's a pretty prevalent issue with addictions throughout the entire year, regardless of season.
True. Huh. Interesting. I'm glad you got on and we could talk about how things operate over there versus here in the U.S. Because, I figured you weren't going to be seeing the cartel pointy-toe boots guys up all the way up there, and there would be some kind of exchange here in the U.S. or just across the border in there to your syndicates in that area, and that's it's pretty neat. And when it comes to traps, the traps that I would see coming out of the northeastern U.S. were usually electronic. So up there, are you seeing a lot of electronic stuff?
Oh yeah, no, hydraulic, electronic. When you're taking a look at the large-scale groups out of the lower mainland and the other larger urban centers, It's just the same sophistication that you're seeing down there with our traps here. Multiple queues to open it and close it, and it's getting there. It's getting there, and same with the guns. Now more and more and more, we're seeing some of the transportation of that coming back and down and forth. And of course, all the guns are from you guys that are
You're
coming
welcome.
up. Yeah, America.
America.
But it's just a little smaller scale to what you guys see. And you have cities down there that are almost the size of the entire population of Canada. The New York City Police Force, I think, is like 2,000 members shy of the entire Canadian military. So it's hard
Wow.
it's hard to compare the two places there, but a lot of the same type of issues and groups, and there's money to be made all over the place, right?
Hmm. Oh yeah, and then when there's a will to make it, there's a way. That's for dang sure. You guys really should pick up your parcel activity because I bet you make a killing up there in parcel.
Oh yeah, every time the mail is the biggest drug trafficker or drug transporter in Canada without a doubt. Mail and
Same
UPS
here.
there.
People don't
Oh yeah,
realize how bad it is.
yeah.
The postal service and the private postal services in the United States are probably the biggest drug traffickers in the entire country. Without knowing it. Well, they kind of know it, but they just turn a blind eye to it.
But it's all about it's about money, and we have postal investigators here. I don't know what their powers or authority are. They work well when there is projects and they need to do covert opens or track or whatever type of other trade craft stuff that they'll do, but it's nothing compared to what it could be, and it's just a hole. And just like down there, there's the same kind of anti-police or defund the police sentiments here, except we're a lot more liberal down up here, and it's happening. We're seeing large police services that are having huge budget cuts to them, and it's just one of those things. It's a combination of COVID and sort of the sentiment of the people per se, but it's happening, and it's going to have a adverse effect on what happens with policing up here and down there. So
Oh yeah.
it's tough everywhere.
Yep. I don't even know what to think of what's going to happen. If they continue down this path of wanting to defund the police, um, I, I can't even fathom how bad that is going to turn out here. And not only that, if they don't defund the police, they're demanding all this training, but they have no idea what they even want. And the things that they want and the things that they're implementing conflict. It's crazy.
Well, what are your thoughts on body cams?
I've always supported body cams. I have no issues with as many cameras as possible on me. I don't do anything wrong, so it doesn't bother me. I've been saved by them more than I've been hurt by them. So they demanded the body cams, 3, 4 years ago here in the U.S., and they started putting things out to get them to the police agencies, and then all of a sudden they didn't want body cams anymore because it wasn't showing them what they wanted. And so it's just, what is it up there? I mean, do you guys have a bunch of them, or is it kind of a thing that?
Well, our agency does. I helped roll it out in admin part of the program, and it's something that's helped us more than it's hindered us, like you said there. But one of the biggest things that I see, especially with, like, you guys hit the news quite a bit with your officers, and there's always these instantaneous opinions, is that we know how policing is on the street there. It's sometimes things are said and whatever else there that wouldn't look favorably on a body cam that the general public would see. But we understand that sometimes the way you got to communicate with the situations
Oh,
you're in
absolutely.
to gain, yeah. And so that's the hard part about it. But what the biggest issue I see is that we got to control that narrative, because you have cities burning from 30 seconds of Facebook live video, and
Yes, they
that's
don't even tell the
sad.
whole story.
Yeah, and so these police agencies, they have to get on this train and control that narrative. Like, something happens where it's on Facebook Live, you have to have those full disclosure release of what really happened immediately by end of day. Otherwise, you might lose your city.
Oh,
And that's a crazy thought.
and I agree. And it seems like so many agencies now are trying to. That's a double-edged sword because one, they don't want to get any info out there because it's an active investigation and they want to come out with the facts. But on the other side
But
of
the
it, they're being
information's already out
political.
there.
Well, yes, but there are things that may not, things that were not shown on the camera. What led up to the incident and whatnot. But I mean, they should be making statements instead of going silent because I think it's making it worse than it should be. But at the same time, it seems like the public in certain ways don't care. They get fired up for 30 seconds of video and emotional over it without the facts and the details. And then once they form that opinion, it doesn't matter what facts or details come out. They don't care.
Well, I'd say the vocal minority, maybe, like even if you did release the truth or the other side, would have their opinion to stay with it. But where your problem is that you have a majority of, in this day and age of technology, of armchair police officers who will always have opinion on policing because you take a look at it, policing's been one of those careers that has been, you've grown up with it, from Columbo to Miami Vice to all these shows. You've grown up with police. Police has been primetime TV, and so everybody thinks they know what it's about there. And so when they see something, they put their gauges of what they know, which is nothing.
Nothing.
But yeah,
It's what they
put,
saw in CSI.
yeah. They put that to the incident they're seeing there. Oh, they should have done this. Oh, should have tased him. Whereas if you release it all there, a reasonable person who sees an entire interaction will go, yeah, if you just would have listened and complied immediately, it would have escalated to this point. What I think the saddest part about this entire whole movement is that there is now an expectation by law enforcement, and it's up here too, that you're going to put yourself at more risk and you're going to attempt to do those verbal de-escalations and use these other uses of forces and not go hands-on and do what you got to do. It's put yourself more at risk for that, how that's going to look for that cell phone video or for that body cam.
Yep.
There's that expectation now on us there, or there's that hesitation from officers, and I've seen a few videos from down there where you can see that they know what they need to do, but they're in certain communities or there's certain cameras around them and they can't do what they need to do, and it ends up escalating into violent use of force incidences.
It happened to me this summer. I never thought in a million years I would choke or hesitate, but it was at the peak of all this stuff going on, and we had a situation that was pretty volatile, and I did. I mean, I've been in this, going on 20 years. I hesitated because I knew cameras were out, and as soon as I went to control the guy's head, I choked. I was like, oh crap, this I'm gonna be the next guy on the viral Facebook video, and I was more bothered by that than anything that I think I've ever encountered in law enforcement. The fact that I hesitated when I knew I shouldn't have.
Yeah, and then you combine that with all the other stresses that we have and the mental health and mental stress injuries that guys are going through, and now this is another thing they got to worry about.
Yep, it's crazy. Well, I'm gonna be bringing the show to a conclusion here. I appreciate you jumping in here and getting involved. It's nice to have another person to talk to. It makes the show more interesting, and also on top of that, you're from Canada, which makes it even more interesting because I like to compare and contrast what you guys got going on compared to what we got going on. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, no, right on. Well, thanks for having me there, and as this gets going there, it'll be good there and getting the Discord going. Right on. It's going to be exciting. Right on. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. All right, guys, we're going to be wrapping up the show today. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube and hit that little bell that'll alert you when I am going live, because I don't know yet exactly what the schedule will be. I'm like I said at the beginning of the episode, I'm kind of trying different things just to find out what times are best for interaction. I may even do a day show and a night shift show. because I know you night shift guys are probably bored out of your mind at 2, 3 in the morning, and would like something to listen to. Uh, Back a long time ago when I first got in law enforcement, I mean, when I worked midnight shift, there was a show called Loveline with Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew, and I would listen to that all night because there's nothing else to do. And it was interesting to listen to something like that. Now, I had a couple times when the attorney's office asked me not to do that or not to leave it on when I was doing an investigation or a DUI or whatever, because they could hear some really funky talk going on the in-car camera. But so I will figure out a schedule. I will not leave out the night shift guys. We will find a way to get some stuff to you guys live in the middle of the night. And just make sure you hit subscribe so you know, so you can find me easy and hit that little bell so you hear it and know when I am going live on air. Real quick before I shut off, if you are going to take the swipe and swap class, don't forget that there is a 20% off discount code right now until December 8th. It is on your screen right now. It's at ossfirst.com. 20% off until December 8th on Swipe and Swap Online. So if you intend on taking that, by all means, save some money, or save your agency some money. I'm about to take it back off the screen. If you did not catch it, just go back and watch the video again and pause it and get that discount code. I really appreciate everybody who has taken the class so far. It is a new thing for law enforcement. It has not been a new thing for auto theft investigators, but it is new for the interdiction guys for the most part. And I'm getting a lot of guys who message me with trailers that they're finding now, and just amazed at how quick they were becoming successful at finding things within a day or two of taking the class. So if you're out there in an area that maybe you don't see a lot of big loads and you want something to do and there's a lot of trucks, by all means take the class. Or if you're an interdiction guy who interacts with trucks a lot, take the class because it will open your eyes. A lot of DOT guys have told me that they never knew any of this stuff. And personally, I would love to see it be a required training for all DOT guys. Don't forget, with OSS First, we have Evading Honesty on demand as well as Smugglers Inc. So get the training. For the love of God, do not get your training from Facebook. This is not a legitimate training area. You need to get formal training, especially in interdiction, swipe and swap, those kind of things, because you will have to testify on that stuff, and they're going to ask. They're going to want to know what your training is, and you cannot go there saying, "Well, I learned this on Facebook." That's not gonna fly in court, especially if you get above your local, like, municipal court level. So, all right, guys, it's been a good show. I appreciate our friend from Canada jumping in here. It's kind of interesting to hear how things operate over there. So I am gonna key up the music, and we are gonna start turning this baby off. Talk to you guys again soon.
Killed the stream, eh?